craziest side of it, but the 7th grade in athletics is awesome to be around. Sometimes they're difficult to be around in class. And the reason they're so awesome to be around in athletics is because they are freaking competitive. They love to compete. So this will help translate that into the classroom, I believe, because those kids love any opportunity they get to compete with each other. They want to win. So a rally robin. So the teacher will present a question and allow the students to think and or write about the question. So you can add a writing aspect into this, Ms. Stiles, if you want to. And then they'll share with their shoulder or face partner a solution. So the way we're set up in groups right now, it'll make more sense here in a little bit, but we'll have our kids split into 4 categories, and they'll be seated strategically. So obviously sitting next to you is your shoulder partner, and then across from you is your face partner. And you can decide for different activities who you want to interact with each other. So they'll go back and forth, offering several solutions. Okay, so that's kind of a rally, going back and forth between each other on what you're doing. So the teacher can pick an odd number or even number. Students go first. So say we're going shoulder partners, even numbers. Okay, so 2 and 4 would be going first, talking to 4 and 2, and then 4 and 3, 1 and 2 would be discussing with each other. All right, so we're going to practice 3 of these real quick. So don't get nervous. States in their capitals, bones of the skeletal system, and words that describe the weather. Okay, so I'll give you a second to think about naming the states and capitals. And the thing about naming the states and capitals, or when you do a rally robin, one of the rules you can make is nothing can be repeated. Okay, so you kind of have a gotcha moment if somebody accidentally repeats one. And then, all right, so the first one we're going to do is naming states and capitals. So I'll give you 30 seconds to think about those. Try to run through some.
Is it Austin?
Austin, Texas.
Yep.
Do the first one.
There you go.
Okay.
So yeah, you next go first, right? Is that what you
Well, I
said?
didn't say yet.
Oh, I thought you.
Overeager students.
No, I was confused too. I was like,
I was
what
on
are you
a
telling
burning
us?
one.
All I heard was numbers. I see you said numbers on blah, 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 blah.
I'm showing this one. So, like I said, we have face partners, which is 1 and 4, 2 and 3. Or shoulder partners. which
Words
would
I'm
be-
good with. I'm good with the words. Like, okay,
Yeah.
shoulder, face, got that.
Shoulder-
Blah,
shoulder
blah, blah.
partners.
Then what?
So then, that's how we decide who goes first. So say evens are going first. All right.
That's you. Okay.
So we're gonna do shoulder partners, evens going first.
Shoulder partner. Okay.
Evens
Now,
going first.
Give me the words.
There you go. States and capitals, as many as you can. Go.
Wait, so I do one and one, or is it 30
Yes.
seconds?
You do one, she does one.
Oh, okay.
It's a rally back and
Yeah,
forth.
okay, that's the rally part, so. Okay.
I don't
Embarrassed to
know.
say that I don't know that.
Oh, good, I'm glad.
I should have, so you actually would have a song.
Nicholson.
Yeah, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Okay,
Start with
Albuquerque.
that. We can do them all.
Albuquerque, Mexico. Is it?
Yeah.
That's where I used to live in Albuquerque, Mexico. Where's
Yeah,
those states?
everybody.
Is it same place? It's not same place, it's just one.
No, it's not. I'm pretty sure it's Albuquerque.
Yeah, okay, so,
Sure.
okay, so we'll just straight to them.
It's Albuquerque. The one in Georgia.
We should have had a one that's
Alright, so what do I like the next one? Our geography skills are lacking. Okay, there we go. Bones in the skeletal system. Bones in the skeletal system. Alright, give you 30 seconds to think about it. This time we're going to use face partners.
No, well, I'm with the science.
Now you go.
30 seconds to think about it.
Why can I only think of one?
I'm trying to think of that song.
The hand bones connected to the.
Well, are we using the real names or?
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Try to use a real name
Okay.
if possible. Alright, that's about 30 seconds. So we're going to have face partners, and we'll go odd numbers first. Face partners, odd numbers first. Go.
Phalanges.
Okay, femur.
Um,
She's cheating! Is that human?
Skull?
Or you know there's also this thing right there.
There's the fifth.
It hurts.
Man, it seems like I should know some of
I mean,
these.
I made him make one up, but then they count, shoulder blade.
Right,
No,
just
shoulder.
shoulder.
Let's say collarbone. There we go.
Shoulder
You
blade,
say
that's
them,
not,
I
no,
named
that's a
them.
common name, we can go there, right?
Tibia, fibula. Tibia,
Tibia,
fibula.
Alright, y'all are making up bones,
And
let's
then-
move on.
There's a metatarsal part of the human?
No, metatarsal
It's
is
like-
on your.
Okay, I was like, is that like a fish or something?
Metatarsals is
On your
the-
ankle. and
Dancing
metatarsals
phalanges,
on
dancing
your-
phalanges.
That's,
I mean,
this
really
is
good
the
story.
one.
Alright,
All we
so,
can
the
remember.
next one. Alright, we're gonna, words that describe the weather, Miss Sides. We got one here for you, hopefully.
Adjectives, we're all about it.
Some descriptive words, alright. 30 seconds, think of words that describe the weather.
Yeah.
Do we know? Oh.
ADHD student isn't taking her 30 seconds to think about.
Well, because you keep changing the order that you're giving the instructions, and the OCD person is like,
That's hilarious.
Shoulder partners, even numbers first. Words that describe the weather. Go.
Stormy. Foggy. Melancholy.
Rainy.
Misty.
Hilly. Snowy. Snowy. Here we go.
damn.
Oh, that's better.
Hot.
Humid.
Blistering.
Freezing.
Dusty.
The dry.
See, they should, that's how it happens in classroom too, is they'll start
Exactly.
studying hearing.
Well, and we're going opposite. Like I say something, then I go to the other extreme.
I think we got the hang of it now.
I like
Okay.
weather's the best.
You like weather the
Even though
best?
I get like
Alright, so that's Rally Robin. There's multiple different ways you can use it for. Reviewing, there's one that really come to mind for me. Or they could do vocab words. You could have them Rally Robin vocab words. One could say a vocab word and the next one could give the definition. And then they could say a vocab word and the other kid, they could trade off going back and forth. This idea is going back and forth, each kid has to take a turn.
So what happens when a kid just sits there and goes, I don't know?
Maybe you could, if you have one that does that, maybe you could stand next to them and help coach them. Or you could have the kids coach each other, like, hey, they can coach them a few times before they kind of help give them an answer. Yeah, coaching is another thing that goes along with it, to try to coach them a few times, and then if they can't get it, then kind of help them out a little bit more, if that
You
makes
could even
sense.
have a word bank. I
Yeah, or
mean,
you
if you
could.
had, I mean,
If you need to modify it and have a word bank, or they could choose one, and then they could say, no, that's not the right one, and they can try again.
And I would assume starting off, like you said,
On
the
fun
beginning of
stuff.
the year.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Easy to
saying, fun
talk
stuff is
about.
easy to talk about when you're implementing this type of
That's
thing,
what I was about
would
to
make
say.
sense,
Maybe
yeah.
it's just fun.
Could they write it down on like a whiteboard?
Yeah, you
So
could, that's what I'm
that
saying,
they're
yeah,
not
you could have,
like-
just like with a round robin, you could have a writing aspect where they have a list of things ready to go,
Yeah.
if you'd like to
And
do
then
that
just move to the
also.
one, like the next one. and
They just
try
move to the next one, and then when they run out, they gotta start making stuff up off the top of their head or something like that. Alright, so, essential question, why do you think Hagen structures could be beneficial to your class? Write your answers on your whiteboard. Which ways do you think that they could be beneficial in your class? And this will lead into our last structure, I believe, that we're going to talk about. 20 seconds, we'll move on. All right, finish your last thought. We're gonna move on to stir the class structure. Now, this one, it will be a little bit easier for some kids to kind of hide in the back as you're doing this, to kind of not contribute as much in this next part that we're gonna do. But there is kind of a something built in to keep that from happening, okay? So, you will stand up with your group in a square. Be sure to look at the number on your desk and remember your number. Okay, so you'll have to know your number. This is what will help keep those kids accountable, all right? You'll huddle together and compare your answers to the question. Come up with a group consensus on one answer on how these structures can be beneficial. So the four of you will talk together, all right, on what you think would be the most beneficial. Y'all will come up with a consensus together. I'll call out a random number, 1 through 4, and that one will have to share out, okay? In RPD, it'll just be one teacher. But ideally, in this classroom, I would have 6 groups, right? 24 kids, 6 groups going. So that one kid that you call out, they're gonna have to leave that group and go share with another group. Okay, so that's what kind of keeps them all accountable for their learning, is that each one at their own little group has to be an expert on what they're supposed to talk about, or what their group is talking about. So really, I guess if you wanted to, you could separate. Each kid could have a different topic, and then they could rotate, each kid being an expert. So, all right. So we're gonna practice it real quick. So y'all can stand up, kind of huddle together. You need to be close together in a huddle, so that the other kids around you aren't hearing. So I'm gonna take your board sides. All right. And I'm gonna give y'all about a minute to come up with just one answer between the four of you that you would like to share. Go.
I said they could add that. So like, if I ask them about what it is, because they usually think person, place, or thing, but they can't identify it now. But 30 seconds is longer than just person, place, or thing. So you might add some depth. I think it also helps with realization, like this kid totally realizes, oh, those other 3 know a lot more than me about this. So if the first time they realize, great, I don't have this, they'll know.
And I kind of think the engagement is like making them get up and talk, keep them falling asleep or being bored or whatever.
It's also the way that people learn from each other, I think. Someone said they didn't know that particular thing. You know, they're hearing it again, and it's not from you, it's from the kid.
The hardest thing is they don't want to think about the problems they're related to. So this is, yeah, and so that's a way for them to own it, yeah. So that they.
So maybe it sounds like we could say like ownership would be our main concept. The kids are having to take ownership of what they're learning, because they're having to do it together instead of the teacher telling them. Do y'all like that?
I like it.
All right, we coming to consensus?
Yep.
All right, number 1, tell me what your consensus was.
Ownership. The kids have to take ownership of their learning because they're discussing it with others.
Good, awesome. So the reason I called on Ms. Young is Ms. Smith over here was the one that was mostly talking about it at the end. So I know by proximity that she knows about it, right? So you can kind of, if you know what numbers your kids are, that way the kids is just sitting there listening, they're responsible for sharing with the next group. If you're just in proximity to them and you know, hey, this one kind of took over, the others were listening, you might want to call on one of the ones that were listening. You bulldozed it.
Great.
So-
Let me affirm you in your
Alright.
summarizing skills.
So good. Alright, so like we just did, you shared out just to me, but ideally you would have them rotate groups. That one person would rotate to a new group and share their consensus with that group. Alright, good. Let me see that. Am I giving you a headache, Ms. Rose?
I had to make all day long.
It's that weather.
Okay, so overall, watch me use Kagan structures in our classroom. It's engaging, okay? Anytime you get kids up moving around talking, it's gonna be good stuff most of the time. It builds positive relationships among students, so if you do it enough, those kids will start not being so hard on each other, maybe they won't start goofing off so much, or maybe the kids that kind of fade to the background will start being more comfortable in what they're doing. It makes learning more fun, allows students to process and reflect on their learning, and I do believe that's one of the big ones. Okay, think about it, write about it, talk about it. It's really big to me. If they can do those three things, I feel like learning has occurred, right? So meaningful ways to have breaks that involves interacting with one another. So that's something that I think is very important, is breaking up your instruction, especially with the middle school level. If we're sitting here talking about something for 40 minutes straight, we've lost them. You know, so it's just fun ways to break up the instruction. And also when I was doing my instructional walks, we use so much whole class questioning. And I don't know if that's like a safety blanket that a lot of people use to where, administrators walk in, our student, bail me out, and then, they ask a whole group question, that one kid speaks up and all the others are silent, So using these Kagan structures, we'll see here in a minute that those star students, those overachievers, are still going to be very valuable to what we're doing, but just in a different role that they're going to take on. So what we're going to talk about now is cooperative learning groups. So what y'all are sitting in right now is a cooperative learning group. All right, I have these handouts here. It has all the structures on it that we went over. And if you go to the last page, it has the information about these cooperative groupings that we're going to have. It's very important they have purposeful grouping. It's really easy to just let the kids come in and choose their own partners, but you're creating problems for yourself, as we all know when that happens.
There is a way to trick them though, that where you say, oh, just pick.